Well, today is quite an interesting Monday, and it gets off to a rollicking start with me dropping all my pencils here. So, you think about the weekend, right? We had the Pope with his first Mass. We had James Cardinal Comey, who was not invited to the College of Cardinals, who turns out to be involved in what might or might not be a threat on the life of the President of the United States, not his first, and not his first hostile action against the President of the United States. We have a lot of issues about the direction Trump is going in with regard to Iran and with regard to the Middle East. People are confused. Is that the plan? And with regard to Biden, we have him suddenly having pretty close to final stage prostate cancer, which in all of the knowledge that I have about it, which is quite a bit because unfortunately I suffered from it and my dad died of it. And I worry about it for my son. So I keep on top of it very, very carefully. It's rather unusual, if not impossible, for it to emerge like that at this stage if you were being properly cared for. Well, I'm sorry for him, and I wish him only the best with regard to his surviving it. And we'll be covering that as well as a strange UFO hit on a Viper jet or not. So let's start with the most beautiful part. And the most beautiful part, of course, is the installation this weekend of Pope Leo XIV as the pontiff of the Holy Catholic Church. It was a beautiful Mass. We had the honor of covering it live, Ted, Stephen, and I. And we covered it from effectively 3:30 in the morning on Sunday morning until, was it about 6:30 or 7, Stephen, that we finally finished?
Oh, I think it was about 6:30. We wrapped up the shoot.
And you can see it anytime you want on X or any of the other channels that we're on. And we will also put it on our subscription network on X so that you can have the whole thing there in case anyone interrupts it or decides they're offended by the name Jesus Christ or something. You never know with the communists who get their hands on these things, what they're going to be offended by or not offended by. But you're seeing some of the beautiful, beautiful pictures of it. And I will say we've gotten some very, very wonderful, critical, meaning nice comments about it. We've had some critical comments about it too, as you might expect, like, why are you doing that? And you're spreading untruth about Jesus. And I was surprised to see at the beginning, and this happened really almost before our broadcast began. We caught some of this, him driving around in the Pope-mobile. So he had to, it all starts with him at the back of St. Peter's, and ultimately he comes to the front of St. Peter's because, as you know, if you've seen it, the Mass was done outside. But before the Mass, there's a ceremony which is quite austere and quite ancient, in which he descends into the tomb of the first Pope and the first among the apostles, Peter. And it is the alleged historical site of both his burial, which is, I don't know, historical confirmations will vary, right? There'll be 100%, for sure Gettysburg was fought at Gettysburg, and it wasn't that long ago, and you can identify the bodies, and Normandy, very similar. But when we go back 2,000 years or more, then, of course, we're not 100% sure, even if they were 100% sure then, because we don't know how good the records are. But my reading on this over the years is this is about as good a prediction or as good a location as you're going to get. It squares with the site of Roman crucifixions for Christians or for whatever they describe Christians as, traitors of some kind, religious traitors to the regime, as opposed to those who would pose a physical danger to the regime. They pose an ideological danger to the regime. You're seeing right now the Pope with his brother, our favorite brother, largely because of the fact that he's MAGA and we share similar views on Nancy Pelosi, and probably on most other things. I'm dying to meet his brother. I'd love to go to whatever game he wants to go to, a Cub game or whatever game. Looks quite distinguished in his vest, Ted. And his wife looked beautiful. I don't know if you're going to show the sister-in-law. The Pope has a sister-in-law. You know, it's hard to think of a Pope, isn't it? I'm not ever sure I saw much of the Pope's family. I think I saw some of Carol Wojtyła's family interviewed. That's Pope John Paul II. Some of the popes, when I was little, were so austere. I didn't think they had families.
Right. Even
Jesus just made them.
Like there's something, the idea.
And Pope Pius XII was the Pope during the time that I was very young. And I don't remember what part of the Second World War he was Pope for, but he was part of the Second World War, where he's been both slandered and praised for the way he dealt with the Jews in the Second World War. And it's hard to get to the. I don't know. You can put the two together and come to some kind of logical picture of it, but it is still hard to at the extreme ends. Yeah. It's a little hard to square. I mean, there are Jewish people that have been interviewed, and in fact, some that I've talked to and knew. I had a very close friend who was saved by an Italian family, and as a result of that, he loved Italians, which helped me greatly. Because he endorsed me for mayor, and his endorsement was worth a great deal. He was the head of the Liberal Party in New York, and it was the margin of my victory the first time I won. I mean, I think if it was possible to convert to being an Italian, he would have converted to be an Italian.
Well, converting to Catholicism's, well,
it's not the same thing. I mean, I've thought about occasionally converting to Judaism. If you could have you can have dual citizenships.
Yes.
Can you have dual religions? But I don't think either one likes that.
Yes.
They're very exclusive, these Jews and these Catholics. Yes, I'll tell you, you either are a Jew or a Catholic. But I mean, you can be both.
You can go enjoy all the fun times in the Shabbos, and
I think it's the Messiah part that kind of
that one turns a lot of people off. But there are these things called Messianic Jews who believe.
Yeah, but the Jews don't like that.
Oh,
and I don't think the Christians like them either. They all think they're weird.
Well,
I think a lot of people. I remember I had enormous, wonderful conversations about this with Cardinal O'Connor, because you might say that Cardinal O'Connor's best friend was Edward I. Koch, and they wrote a book about being Jewish and Catholic together. Imagine the Jewish mayor and the Catholic Archbishop in New York writing a book together. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
But there he is with the older brother. He's a little taller than the older brother. Must have been a point at which the older brother couldn't take him anymore. He is, Ted, remind me, he is not the oldest brother, right? The first one that we saw interviewed that took umbrage to the fact that he was described as a Cub fan is the one that I'm thinking of.
Right.
I believe he's the older brother. I think he's the middle brother.
But honestly, they all look to be in quite good health.
They also look to be, may I say, executive types.
Yes.
Dad was a war hero. He was, their dad was a war hero. He was a participant in the D-Day invasion, which puts him in a category where.
Did he survive that?
Obviously.
Oh, of course.
No, he came back afterwards. It was a virgin birth. The Pope announcement, new virgin birth.
That would qualify you for Pope. But you're right, Mayor. There's something especially with
something
this one.
Heroic about this family. I mean, the old man was in D-Day.
Making it through D-Day itself.
I believe the old man is decorated for his service in the military.
There's no way that
and he was the chancellor of schools. Now, I don't know if he was, we're going to have to check this, the chancellor of schools for Chicago or for the somewhat smaller town of Dalton, where they live.
Was it the
And
public school or was it the
public schools?
Okay.
Public schools.
They went to public school or
No, they went to Catholic schools, but he was the superintendent of the public schools.
Ah,
He and his I don't know, the grammar school I haven't checked out. The high school is probably the beginning of directing his career. The high school was run by the Augustinian fathers and brothers. Hence, he becomes an Augustinian.
Yeah.
Very, very common. Many of the guys I went to school with headed to the Christian Brother Order.
Yeah.
Like my friend Alan, who's now a Monsignor, began as a Christian brother. Then he became a priest.
right.
But we love the Christian brothers.
What is that lifestyle like, the Christian brothers?
It's very much like a priest, except you don't say the mass. You know why? You know the whole idea of St. John Baptist de La Salle, who started it, was to develop 100% dedicated teachers. And it would be he would actually kind of almost talk you out of being a priest. So these would be people who wanted to be priests, and he'd say, "Why not devote all your time? There are a lot of priests. You can help them on the mass, and but why don't you devote yourself to being a teacher?"
Oh, yes.
Because most of the Jesuits are priests and teachers. So what he did was and at my time, 3/4 or more of them had doctorates teaching in high
It's
school.
almost like being a priest rather than a priest to lay people.
Yeah,
in
you
some ways.
become an expert on your field, for example. And some of them go on to win Pulitzer Prizes and Nobel Prizes. I mean, because they devote their life to biology, they devote their life to chemistry, they devote their life to science, they devote their life to English, they devote their life to languages, they devote their life to how to teach it. It's their whole life.
History.
No wife to bother you, no kids to bother you.
Oh my gosh, you're selling it good.
Yeah, but that's it. That's what you become.
See,
You
I'm
become
picturing like it's almost like a fraternity. Like
it is like being in the fire department.
the fire.
I was
okay,
just gonna say that.
You don't know how many Christian brothers had brothers who were in the fire department.
I was just gonna say,
And you don't know how many firefighters later on in life become one of the, I'm talking about the Christian brother, the original order, but there's also the Irish Christian Brothers, which is a takeoff order on it, which is a little different. They ran their own high school. There are the Franciscan brothers. Now, the Franciscans have priests and brothers, and the Franciscans have specific brothers that are devoted just to teaching, like the Christian brothers. And the Christian brothers are not the only order of teaching brothers. They're probably the largest. Their schools, Catholic schools, are hard to find sometimes. Like the two that I know the best are Manhattan and Fordham. Manhattan should be De La Salle College for the saint. I'm sorry, Fordham should be De La Salle, and the Christian Brothers School should be named after one of the Christian brothers.
These are the two schools you think of when you think of Catholic schools?
What?
These are the two schools that you...
No, I think of them because they're the two in my city.
Oh, okay.
No, you always think of Notre Dame when you think of a Catholic school.
Catholic University.
Well, you think of Catholic...
The Pope's home away from home.
But you have to
DC.
understand
and
that...
Villanova.
Oh, now Villanova.
Okay, so those all tell me... three of those, there's a thing I would know about those that you wouldn't. I can tell you for sure Notre Dame and Catholic University were founded after the beginning of the 20th century. And I believe Villanova comes before. Is Villanova a religious name?
It doesn't come off as a religious name. But
I don't know.
it's
Tell
definitely
me if it
religious.
is. Here's the difference. Before the 19th century, you could not have a religious name for the name of your school. Thus, you get Fordham University, or you get Manhattan College. After the 20th century began, you can get Notre Dame.
So
Or Our Lady of
Villanova,
Angels.
yeah. Villanova is actually, it is in fact Latin.
Oh, it's the Augustinian
Notre Dame is Our
Catholic
Lady.
University. It's the only Augustinian Catholic university in the nation.
Which
New
one?
town or new house in Latin? Villa Nova. Villa, that makes sense. Nova, Villa Nova. House.
Which
New
school?
house.
Which school is that?
Villanova.
Where the Pope went.
Yes, but is when was it founded? Give me the date. It was sounding like before the 20th century.
1842.
Perfect. Now go look up Notre Dame. See when it was founded.
And your prediction is that it was
Founded after 1900.
Oh my gosh, those Notre Dame people are insufferable, though. They don't let you forget it. And they'll side with the Notre Dame. They'll side with the Notre Dame person over sound policy.
Notre Dame was founded in 1842.
Well, I guess that wasn't considered.
But let's see what the name was.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make you. Yeah, we'd have to get the name.
I could look at St. John's instead of New York. I may give you a New York history. Because the law would change in different states.
Oh, get this. So this is on topic. So in 1887, Pope Leo XIII established the Catholic University of America as a research center.
As a research center. St. John's University?
Yeah.
You want to know when it was founded?
Yeah. And what was Catholic University of America known as first?
Research center. Oh, I don't know what it's
1870 was St. John's. Sorry, we're getting a lot.
As St. John's?
St. John's, founded in 1870 in response to an invitation of the first Bishop of Brooklyn, John Laughlin, to provide the youth of the city with intellectual and moral education.
Do you know its name for the same as my high school?
Right.
Bishop Laughlin High School.
Bishop Laughlin.
That's the high school I went to. So it's named for it's not named for a saint, so it would fit. So
Right.
it's named for a brother to them, or a priest to them would not be a saint.
Right.
He'd be just a person. Well, let's shall we show them a few excerpts from the Mass? What would you say? I have to tell you, these gentlemen here were heroes on Sunday morning. We got up at 3:00 in the morning. We set it all up. We got it all set. It was all ready to go. Zazum, babing, kapapapabo.
Right.
And what happened? We could have been one of our best broadcasts. Not a hitch, not a pitch. Would you tell me the highlight that you had of it?
I thought the highlight was your excellent commentary, Mayor, to go alongside with the broadcast.
You think my showing off my vast, so far not terribly well utilized religious historical training was helpful?
It was great. It was great. So you'd kind of come in and
my
little anecdotes
and my analysis of the Mass,
and at just the right time, right? Sometimes
I once did that for a Jewish audience where I tried to explain to them how the Mass created Western music. It was a fascinating. They loved it. I can't tell you. I thought it was going to be a big bomb. I had to do it over again. For twice. Maybe someday I'll put it on tape. It was years ago that I did it.
That's him accepting the ring.
The unbelievably best moment for me is when he first, right there. That's the most beautiful moment I've ever seen in the coronation of a pope. When the man looked at his ring, it showed he was a man. It showed like he can't believe it. He had to look at it, right?
Right.
Go back and show that again. That is so human, so beautiful, so wonderful. It should be played forever. Look at that. He just got the ring put on by one of his biggest opponents for the job. He may have already done it.
There it is. They're rewinding it now. So this is Cardinal Tagle.
That's Cardinal Tagle. Remember his protagonist, but they've had a long conversation apparently and become very close. Now watch this. He's being very serious, praying, and there you go. But we're going to take a short break after watching that, and you just have your own reflections on it. I'm not going to intrude with mine. I can tell you, to me, I know everything else was beautiful, and nothing more human than that. We'll be right back.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally. The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever, and in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty will tell you exactly why you need to own gold even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver.
Gotta go there. we are trying to figure out what we're going to talk about. You know, we're very uncomfortable together. We rarely are on together. So, do you know Dr. Maria and I did a very, very popular New York City radio show every Sunday morning called
Uncovering the Truth.
Oh, and we did. And you know what we uncovered?
It was mainly
No,
during the
you know what?
pandemic.
You know what she uncovered?
Yeah, it was all
Wuhan
pandemic.
virus.
Yeah.
Which comes from where, Dr. Maria?
Wuhan lab.
Did you ever
It was
have any
gain of
other doubt?
function. Never had
doubt?
any other doubt. And it's funny, I circled back to it tonight on my show after all these years.
Which will be on at 9:00.
LindellTV.com. And I had the document from 2015, the research document saying that they were doing gain of function with the bat coronavirus. And I think it started actually in 2013.
And you remember the Chinese girl that was so scared that came to stay with us that Steve Bannon sent us?
Yeah.
Who calmed her down?
I don't know if I calmed her down.
Of
but
course
we spoke
you did.
The same, even
And when
though
she
we
came
didn't
back,
speak
who
the
did she want to
same
come?
language, we spoke
When
the
she
same
came back to New
language.
York, who did she want to see first?
Well,
You know, you have to understand that Dr. Maria, I know she's very articulate and she ran a hospital and she has a PhD in running hospitals. And she was, for 7 years, the highest ranking CEO and all sorts of things. Okay, but she's really mostly a provider. And she is a superb diagnostician. It's uncanny, just from one or two little things, when things come up on television, she can tell you what it was or what to do
always been
about it.
like that, yeah.
It's uncanny what she can do for me and my friends when she's away, and we say, "I have a sore throat." Boom, knows it right. Or Ted, or any of the boys or girls. You know, they call her up. I put her on the phone with all of them. Now, of course, we got a big diagnosis now.
We do.
And I'm going to begin with, and you can take this for what you want. I mean, there's no question. Everyone knows I pursued Joe Biden heavily. And everyone should know that he did terrible things to me. And he was behind them. He was behind all of the attempts to put me in jail, the phony indictments, the women who sued me. That lawyer was his son's law partner, and sure as hell wasn't paid for by them. And I can go on and on and on. So I have every reason to be angry at him, and I am. I have every reason to hate him, but I don't. And I don't hate him because I accept the principle, both psychological and Christian, that it hurts you if you hate.
Amen.
And I don't want to see anybody die if they don't have to.
Yes.
And I feel very sorry for him.
Yeah.
I feel extremely sorry for him.
You know, before this cancer diagnosis, I used to say, to me, there's two Joe Bidens. There's the guy that's corrupt, and I think he belongs in jail because of the terrible things he did to the United States of America. But the demented Joe Biden, I had empathy for, because I used to take care of patients, a lot of Alzheimer's patients, or the, Lewy
Yeah, it's a
body
very
dementia,
complicated.
different-
It's a complicated dimension also, because on the demented side, we don't know how much he was hiding. 'Cause he might have been capable, how much they were hiding. So it's a complicated thing. But when you tell me, even when my organized criminals that I put in prison were dying, I just prayed for them. What good is it going to do then? I mean, they're going to go up and see God. God judges this, not me. And God made him. And I don't know the complications of Joe Biden's life. So as a prosecutor, my job would be to prosecute him based on the objective facts of his life. As a human being, my job for him is to love him. And I hope he has, he's not going to, I mean, we unrealistic. I hope he has a remission. Unrealistic, I think, to say that. But there is a possibility he can get a couple of years. So why don't you explain to us what this means? I know it better than most, but I don't know what the way, I don't know it.
You had
I mean, I've been
prostate
dealing with it for
cancer.
24 years, and I read about it all the time. I talk to Alex about it all the time, talk to you about it all the time, but you really know it. So go ahead.
So, according to the story, this past Sunday, it was released that President Biden has prostate cancer that has metastasized to his bones. So it is a grade 4 prostate cancer. Now, there's a couple of things that make you think. He says that he was peeing more frequently, which definitely is a sign of an enlarged prostate.
Also of an elderly man.
Yeah.
Of a normal elderly man.
Yeah.
So if you pee a lot as an elderly man, don't get
but he
that
was
worried.
peeing a lot, so he went to the doctor. They did what's called a digital exam. It's when, and we don't do this much anymore. This is how we used to do it solely before the PSA tests came around. But doing a digital exam, you put your fingers in the rectum and you feel for the prostate. And he says at that time the doctor felt a little nodule, and all of a sudden he's got stage 4 cancer and it's already metastasized.
The minute the doctor can feel it, it's bad. Because most times, like when I had prostate cancer, it felt nothing. I had a normal digital rectal exam. And then I had a prostate score that was on the margin. Could have been an infection, which is about 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Or some other aggravation.
Yeah.
Any aggravation of the prostate is going to secrete the same things.
Yeah.
The secretion doesn't tell you cancer. It just tells you something is really, really wrong.
Screening test.
Yeah.
PSA.
It shows that the cells of the prostate are growing too rapidly.
Yeah. And
which
it could be,
which
like
could
you
be a
said,
reaction to immunity. The cells of the prostate, if I get a disease, an illness, an infection in the prostate, the prostate
Is that a New York pronunciation?
the prostate cells will multiply quickly to fight the infection, and that can be so. That's why they get annoyed at the prostate test, because it's inaccurate, but it's inaccurate in a safe way. It doesn't miss prostate cancer. Rarely. It overdiagnoses prostate cancer.
Yeah, you have to investigate. It could be because, now remember, the prostate is part of the male reproduction system. So it's underneath the bladder. It helps in making semen. So your PSA test can go up if you had sex the day before. So yes, it's got its limitations, but overall, it's got a
That's
good
right. I
test.
forgot that.
So I want to talk about President Biden, though. Something just doesn't smell right. We used to say it doesn't pass the litmus test. So he's got what's called a Gleason score 9, an extremely aggressive prostate
Only one higher,
cancer.
10.
Right. But as a president, you have the best healthcare in the world. You're forever getting exams. I'm sure they were doing a yearly PSA. It would be so atypical for it just to show up and already be metastasized to the bone. So it's one more thing that did they keep from the American public. Now, again, very serious prostate cancer, already metastasized to the bone. He can be treated, though. It's not going to cure it, but he could be treated with hormones or chemotherapy at this stage. And what they would do is deprive the body, the prostate, of testosterone.
I had that.
Yeah. So they would put him on an anti-androgen type hormone. And he would, if he gets treatment either with that or chemotherapy, he will have a 30% chance of living out the next 5 years.
That's it.
That's it, 30% chance.
And they said something. It was susceptible to hormones. Is there a certain kind of a prostate at this level that's not any longer susceptible, and a certain kind that is?
I know you know a lot about this. So,
well, I haven't had a chance to talk to Alex yet, but you're just as good.
Prostate.
Well, not just as good. Alex is the best.
Yeah, he's a urologist.
The best.
Yeah,
no, the best in the world. I send everybody.
He's a very nice man too.
No, he's the best in the world, and his wife is a prostate cancer researcher. So now we got a doctor who treats you for it, operates on you, and his wife is telling him, here's the new one, here's the new one, here's the new one, here's the new one. Yeah. I'm going to tell you the deal he made with me when I first went with him. Again.
So I don't know what we're talking. Oh, I know what we were talking about.
We're going to have him on as soon as we can get him.
So President Biden and his diagnosis. So, you were asking about hormone susceptibility.
Yeah, they said something several times that I didn't understand completely. They said one hopeful sign is it appears to be susceptible to hormone treatment.
At this, that's all he could do. They're not going to do surgery. It's already metastasized. They're not going to do anything else. He's got 2 treatment options, only 2. Chemotherapy or hormone therapy, and it's called anti-androgen therapy, and it's going to try to get his testosterone level to 0. Now, there are already people online surmising that he was already probably getting this treatment in the White House. Why? Because some of the side effects of bringing your testosterone level
I know what they are.
Falls, broken bones.
I know what they
confusion.
are. I went through it for 10 months. I know exactly what they are. So
go ahead.
But they weren't that bad because mine wasn't as bad. My major one was having hot flashes like women who go through.
Yeah.
And, I had it at the same time as my police commissioner, Howard Safer.
Oh,
I got prostate cancer. 3 days later, Howard Safer calls me up. Howard Safer calls me up and says, I have prostate cancer. 4 days later. So we start treatment together. We had slightly different form of treatment, but we both took the injection to take the testosterone out of our body, which shrinks the cancer.
Yep.
We were sitting once at a meeting, maybe 3 months later. A very big meeting. We're sitting at a meeting. We're sitting at a meeting, and we're working on a big riot that's starting. And Howard is telling me, let the chief tell you how many people are coming out. We have a big map there. Where will they be? That's not enough. We have to have a few over here. I think I'll go to court, see if I can reduce it. And all of a sudden, you can see me sweating like a pig. People are looking at me. Why is Mayor scared? Howard looks over. He's sweating like a pig. Police commissioner is scared too. Oh my God! I said, Howard, I think we have to explain it to the boys.
Yeah,
I went like that. I think they're taking something from us they shouldn't. And I explained to them, we're both having the same treatment, and we're going. So some jackass said, you mean like women in menopause? I wanted to punch him in the face. Women in menopause. Once you put it back in the body, it all gets restored. So I want you to know it all got restored. but it was about 8-9 months, like feeling like when women tell me about menopause now, they don't realize I empathize.
It is the second leading cancer in men. First being skin cancer, second.
My father died
about 1 in every 8.
My father died before all of this was available. Yeah. So when he got that Gleason score, they had a Gleason score that I'm not sure, but when he got that diagnosis that it reached the bones, it was over. And he spent 3 months in the most miserable agony, only helped by
very painful.
Really agony deaths.
Bone cancer.
And I was being confirmed at the time for Associate Attorney General. And I would run back and forth from Washington during the hearings. And he'd ask me about the hearings. And I would take care of him like he was my baby. And this was my boxer daddy.
Tough man.
Who could knock anybody out with one punch. Who taught me all the best values. Who I looked up to, and his brother, Rudy, like they were gods. And I was holding him in my arms. And he told me, you could get this. Please be careful. Over and over again. Relatives. And I did.
You got it. Now your son has to do
a lot of I got it, and I got it early. And that was 23 years ago. And I've had a few little symptoms, but very minor, and no relapse. Thanks to Alex Kirschenbaum, who is the greatest urologist in the whole world. Well, none greater than Alex.
You have a guest that's waiting by.
I do. And she lived through that. She remembers that.
She does?
Kara, I think so. Kara?
Hey, Mr. Mayor. I'm good. Hey, Dr. Maria.
We got to put.
Kara,
oh, does she look beautiful?
Thank you. So do both of you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know what? I want you to know something very practical about this kind of television. My ratings just doubled when they see the two of you.
Oh, thank you.
Wonder,
thank
you.
you.
Related? Are they? You look a little alike.
She's my little sister.
Are they related or whatever? So, Kara, tell me what's going on at the White House today. And you, where are you?
Well,
you look like you're on the Potomac River or something.
The White House is behind me right here. It's just a different angle we have today. But yes, and the briefing room is right there. And speaking of the briefing room, there was a briefing earlier today with Caroline Leavitt talking about a lot of different things. Everybody's asking questions, obviously, about Joe Biden's health and President Trump's reaction to that. So there was a lot of questions there. And I'll share some of them with you. But first, President Trump signed a really important bill called the Take It Down Act. And I don't know if you saw that. That was in the Rose Garden today. This was something that was really important to Melania Trump. Obviously, part of her initiative, the Be Better initiative. And this is a really interesting one. This actually passed the House with only 2 people voting against it. So I'm wondering who those 2 people were that would actually vote against this bill. It passed and cleared the Senate unanimously. But this act, for the most part, I'm going to read to you what President Trump said. It's my honor to officially sign the Take It Down Act into law. With the rise of AI image generation, countless women have been harassed with deep fakes and other explicit images distributed against their will. So basically, it's against the law now for men or women to threaten people with what's called revenge porn. I'm going to post naked pictures of you online or videos. That's now considered to be illegal. It's a federal crime. And also to post imagery of women they create using AI. They'll sort of put a female's head onto a fake body and pass it around the internet as if it's really her. Yeah, it's something that's really become popular. So here, take a listen to President Trump right here. I don't know if we could restart that clip in the Rose Garden today. If you guys could restart that clip, please, of President Trump.
It's very important.
Please go ahead.
Pam, can you help me, Pam? She says, no, I'm too busy doing other things. Don't worry, you'll survive. But a lot of people don't survive. That's true. And today it's my honor to officially sign the Take It Down Act into law. It's a big thing, very important, so horrible what takes place. This will be the first ever federal law to combat the distribution of explicit, imaginary, posted without subjects' consent, take horrible pictures, and I guess sometimes even make up the pictures, and they post it without consent or anything else. And very importantly, this includes for forgeries generated by artificial intelligence known as deepfakes. We've all heard about deepfakes. I have them all the time, but nobody does anything. I asked Pam, can you help me, Pam? She says, no, I'm too busy. Too busy doing other things. Don't worry, you'll survive. But a lot of people don't survive. That's true, and it's so horrible. With the rise of AI image generation, countless women have been harassed with deepfakes and other explicit images distributed against their will. This is the wrong, and it's just so horribly wrong. And it's a very abusive situation, like in some cases people have never seen before.
So
Kara, I'm
yes,
very
I think
happy.
that was an important one. And I'm sure Dr. Maria agrees. It's really become a really big problem. I think Melania Trump has experienced it herself. There's so many fake images of Melania actually on the internet that are not Melania. So this is just
I
something.
didn't realize that. Are there fake images of Melania?
That's what she said.
Oh,
Oh my
tons. There's
God,
tons of,
he
and
must
a
be
lot of
so
female
angry.
celebrities. Yes.
He mentioned something like this to me once. I didn't quite understand it. You know, it's hard for an old guy like me to understand this crap. And he said something like, you can't believe what they're doing to Melania. And I thought he meant like taking out old pictures, or I think this is what he meant. Wow.
Yeah, no,
Kara,
it's
I'm
a problem.
very happy with this bill, and it's the right thing. But I was hoping when I first heard the title, Take It Down, that it was some of the fake media going against conservatives. I had Dr. Simone Gold on my show today, very intelligent emergency physician. Everything she talked about during COVID turns out to be 100% true. But as I was preparing for my show, I looked her up. The first 5 article is anti-vax doc, quacko doc. Like that stuff stays up there, and it could ruin someone's chance to get a job and other harmful things. Never mind, it's not true and it's defamatory. But that stuff
Right.
stays up there. We need to do something about that.
Do they
too.
keep those images up, Kara? So if they take a woman, let's say Melania, they put a fake nude body on her, does it stay on the internet, or is there a
Well,
way
now with this new law, it's to take it down. So, if they're notified, if social media or say Google was notified that this woman never gave consent for this image to be posted, or this isn't this woman, now they have to take it down. I don't know exactly how they're going to go about doing that. Obviously, this is all to still be figured out, but it's now considered to be against the law. And social media companies and other people that, like Google, have to comply with this. They'll have to take down the images or the porn or whatever it is. They what they call revenge porn. When somebody posts a video maybe that you made in the privacy of your home, and then you break up and one person in the couple threatens, I'm going to post this everywhere online and embarrass you and ruin your career. That's now considered illegal. So
Yeah,
it's a form of blackmail.
There have been
Right.
suicides over that, Kara, where they do that
Of
to
course.
kids.
Young girls.
Yes.
So
Yes,
isn't
young girls.
You know what amazes me? That nobody except for us and maybe a few other channels, right? Maybe 3, are going to point out today that he signed this very important and beautiful piece of legislation to
'Cause he's
protect women.
pro-women.
This
He's
is
pro-women.
This is what it means to be a feminist.
Right.
Women are more susceptible to this than men. Now, it's kind of stupid, but I mean, I really would not like to have an image. I shouldn't even say it, but I wouldn't like to have an image of me, like regular or not. But it would not be the same as a woman.
Yeah.
A woman's body. I'm sorry, maybe it's watching the inauguration of the Pope is more sacred. I don't know. It's more sacred, and it should not be exposed like that. That's terrible. Well, I'm glad he did. What else did he do today to bring morality and decency and God and goodness back to America, which is being excluded by the communist press?
Well, as you know, the president has been very much concerned with the war in Ukraine and Russia. So he spoke to Vladimir Putin on the phone today, and they had a really good conversation. I believe it was 2 hours, and they talked about a ceasefire and how to really get towards that. And again, the president addressed this today in the Rose Garden. That was at about 3:00, right back there. So here is what President Trump had to say today about his talk with Vladimir Putin on the phone. Please take a
I want to
listen.
thank everybody. We just spent 2.5 hours talking to Vladimir Putin, and I think some progress has been made. It's a terrible situation going on over there. 5,000 young people every single week are being killed. So hopefully we did something. We also spoke to the heads of most of the European nations, and we're trying to get that whole thing wrapped up. What a shame that it ever started in the first place. So, but I want to thank Melania and for your leadership in this very important issue. It's an amazing issue. America is blessed to have such a dedicated and compassionate First Lady. I would tell you she is very dedicated. In fact, if you look at just what I heard.
So there you have it. That was President Trump talking about Melania as well as Putin and how respected Melania Trump is in that part of the world. Obviously, that's where she's from,
Well,
but
that's where she
just good
comes,
news on that front. Yes.
That's where she comes from, Slovenia. And I know from my long relationship with him and the many days I spent with him in 2016, the president has enormous respect. This is no exaggeration, no hyperbole. Tremendous respect for his wife's opinion. It reminds me a bit of Ronald Reagan. You know, when I was in the Reagan administration, whenever he said, well, Nancy thinks, we knew we were going to win. But
Right.
if Nancy thought different, we knew we were going to lose. Very similar with him. He'll say, you know, Melania was watching last night and she said that becomes government policy. He loves her a lot.
And there was a really nice viral moment where he went out over and he sort of pulled out the chair from Melania. She sat down and she even signed the bill in a symbolic way as well. So, you know, the president and Melania seem to be doing very well, like you mentioned.
Well, whatever people like to fantasize or think, he has great respect for her intellect. This is a woman who speaks numerous languages, very well educated, very thoughtful, and she spends a lot of her time watching what's going on. I know because I would get this when I got on the plane. This is in 2016, and I was on television all the time for him, right? With CNN and MSNBC, and she'd say, tell Rudy you did a great job. Rudy did a great job. Then every once in a while, tell Rudy he left out. She said he left out that bill, that point that you made. So she's good. She's tough. What else?
She is tough. Well, back to Biden and his health issues. There was I don't know if you got a chance to take a listen to the tapes that were released only in the past few days by the special counsel that had investigated Biden. You know, they never released these actual audio tapes that they have. They just had that summary saying Biden was a forgetful old man who means well. But in reality, these tapes were really crippling. Some of the stuff on there, it breaks your heart in a certain way because he is very, very clearly senile. He doesn't remember when his son died. He doesn't remember when he was vice president. He doesn't even remember when he ran for office for the most part. But at the same time, the fact that they hid these and they tried to get this man reelected with the full intention of probably pushing him out of office within a few months, therefore not giving the American people a fair choice, thinking they were voting for Biden, in reality voting for somebody else. This is a 1 minute clip of some of those tapes. And this is important to note that this cancer diagnosis, a lot of people are, have the theory that they announced this today on Monday or yesterday. Biden was diagnosed with cancer because all of this stuff is now coming out with the auto pen and everything else, including these tapes. So this is from that special counsel interview with Biden, and take a listen to this 1 minute clip.
So during this time when you were living in Chambers Road and there were documents related to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer moonshot or your book, where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18 area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. And so it was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period.
So that was just a really short clip of 6 hours of audio tape of that interview, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So, why they're putting that out now when they should have done that years ago is beyond me, but that's coming out now, sort of at the same time this information is coming out about Biden having cancer. So it's very interesting.
Jumping back to her, repeatedly throughout the day, people are reminded that people commit crimes, and by the time they go to trial, they don't remember. Sometimes they don't remember because they don't want to, incriminate themselves. But that was no reason for her not to prosecute. And it's unbelievable how much her is coming under fire today.
Well, I looked at that and I said to myself, the man should be immediately removed from the presidency. If you are a loyal American, I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, a liberal, a conservative. If you care about your country and you think that tonight that man's going to go back, he's going to make decisions about the future of this country. I don't know what kind of scoundrel you are if you don't reveal that to the American people. I will tell you, if that were Donald Trump doing that, I would go to him and I would say, Donald, you got to resign. And if he didn't, I would go to the president and show it. My country first. These people, it's their miserable, stinking, putrid little careers first. It's disgusting.
Right. And keep in mind that was around the time of the really bad Afghanistan withdrawal, where people died, soldiers died. So this is the commander in chief in charge of the armed forces making really bad decisions that left soldiers dead.
His children, and he didn't. That man is not capable of taking care of his children, and he didn't, or his grandchildren.
Correct. So so that's really,
and you and your family. You're a traitor to the United States if you let that happen. The man is absolutely a blithering, useless intellect.
You're one of the first people, Kara, who talked about the auto pen and really tried to push so everybody knew that Biden never signed these pardons. It was all done by auto pen. How do we know Biden had any knowledge of it? Do you know where we go from here? Can there be a Supreme Court challenge? I guess that's a question for
I hope so. And I know the mayor has his thoughts on this, but there was, and I don't know if we're going to have time to share this last video because there was one before I wanted to share, but there was a video that's been circulating that was the Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, where he was talking to a Biden administrator who was naming names of people. And a lot of people are speculating, could these have been the people who had signed the auto pen? I myself filed a Freedom of Information Act and was rejected. I think I mentioned this on one of the mayor's shows that it was told to me by the Biden Presidential Library where I FOIA'd that these records cannot be released until 2030, 5 years from now. The only people that could actually get these records is the president himself, which is Trump, President Biden, if he so wanted them, the courts, or Congress. So these are the only people that have access, not journalists, to anything having to do with Biden's presidential records, which really surprised me because this is public information. Journalists should be able to analyze this information. And Jeffrey Zients, which was the chief of staff. A lot of people, including these staffers that were caught by James O'Keefe's people, were saying that Jeff, anything Jeff said, Jeff was pretty much the guy who was in control. So was Jeff the guy signing the auto pen? Everybody's trying to figure it out. Was it Hillary Clinton? Hillary Clinton and Obama were even mentioned in this video. So it's pretty crazy stuff. I don't know, Mr. Mayor, what are your thoughts? Will we ever get to the bottom of auto pen?
My thoughts are that if it's signed by an auto pen, but not authorized by the president, and we can show a direct line to the president, it's ineffective. I mean, the president has to specifically authorize that auto pen.
Right.
And if he doesn't, it's not a pardon. And we should challenge it. We should indict a few of these people and take it up to the Supreme Court. We should take a few cases where we can show that Biden didn't actually authorize it. We should indict them for the crimes they committed and take it up to the Supreme Court and see what happens. I'm sorry, first of all, I'm not even sure if he authorizes an auto pen, if that's enough. But if he certainly never authorized it, that's the case I'd like to take up to the court.
I kind of
Right, or if he wasn't aware of the contents and things like that. Ed Martin is now in charge of this.
Yeah, Mike. Oh gosh, if you put
Yay.
me in charge of it, I'll get you the people. It'll take about 5 days, but
Well,
That would be
Ed's
so
a good
great.
man.
I never failed. What?
Ed's a good man.
Ed who?
Ed Martin. is
Ed
in charge
Martin's a
of this.
great man,
He's
not
in
a
charge
good
of
man.
this.
Okay, you don't need me.
Well, you would be a great special counsel or somebody I think that they should, possibly think about bringing in to figure this out because
I
this
don't
could
have
really
a doubt that I
undo.
could catch I don't have a doubt I could catch these people. They're not smart enough.
I agree. I think it would be great. I would help you out.
Well, you're going to be my special assistant, you too, and we'll get them all. But you do a great job. You see things other people don't see there, and I hope our audience appreciates that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
There's a very special presentation from the White House. You're not getting it anywhere else. Thank you very much,
Thank
Karen.
you.
Bye. And I guess you're going to commercial.
So we're
Oh no! Oh, you're wrapping up your
we're
show.
coming. Well, that's a good way to end
I
because
have no idea what time it is.
you just saw an extraordinarily insightful White House correspondent because she's been all through it. I mean, a lot of them, who knows what their history is. This woman covered all of the J6 trials. I think there are a few people who are J6 experts. I'm not going to say Kara's the only one, but she's right at the top level.
Yep.
You're not going to do better than going to Kara and finding out who are the good judges, who are the bad judges, who double-crossed people, what happened, why were they put in jail forever, are there a few that are actually guilty, what are they guilty of? She covered it encyclopedically as she remained a contributor on Newsmax with
John Tobacco.
with the wonderful, great
and
John
don't forget,
Tobacco.
She was an investigative reporter with Gateway Pundit, and she still may be.
She is, and she also was the one. Please understand this. Who organized the Trump rally in the
Bronx.
in the Bronx,
Bronx.
in the Latino community? And sometime we're going to get her on with John Tobacco, her partner, because you never found a guy who's more insightful and funny than John Tobacco.
Well, thank you for having me on, Mayor
But
Julia.
you never found anybody more insightful than funny than this one. Also, 9:00 tonight, Dr. Maria, the best, most sensitive, most detailed, and a little offbeat. She goes on topics that are very important, but you might not think about them. And this is what we want to do. This is our whole objective, to get you to begin to think again on your own. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the people that are in trouble, the people that are under siege in Africa. We forget them sometimes. The people in Israel, the people in Ukraine.
Everyone.
Oh, gosh, the people in Iran. There are so many, but mostly thank you, God, for our new Pope and our new president. God bless America.